Prime Field.
What did we just watch in Storrs? Because that was not a regular conference win. That was a national broadcast message delivered at full volume. Connecticut just beat Creighton 94-44. And if you're looking for the headline, here it is. They did not only win, they erased a high major opponent with a defensive masterclass and an offensive explosion that felt like a warning to the rest of the country. And while the scoreboard screams domination, the deeper story is even louder. This game showed Connecticut can win ugly or win pretty, and tonight they chose pretty with a little bit of violence on the side. If you are a potential tournament opponent watching this, you're not just scouting sets, you're trying to survive stretches. Now let us get into the tape, because there are 3 things this game changed: how teams must scout Connecticut, what Azzi Fudd is becoming at the exact right time, and why this rotation looked like March rehearsal. Let us start with the part that should make every coach in the country pause. A 50-point margin against a high major opponent is not normal. It is not common. It is not an accident. Furthermore, it is a signal. Think about the psychology of it. Creighton is not a program that folds because the lights are bright. They are organized. They are disciplined. Likewise, they live on spacing, decision-making, and a steady diet of 3-point attempts. They're built to punish laziness. So what does it mean when Connecticut takes that identity, rips it out, and replaces it with chaos? Here's the moment the game became a completely different sport. With 57 seconds left in the first quarter, the score was tied at 14-14. That is not a typo. It was even. From that moment forward, Connecticut outscored Creighton 80-30. That is not a slow pull away. That is a switch flip. And it happened in the middle quarters, which is exactly where elite teams separate in March. Connecticut used a 15-2 run in the second quarter to turn a manageable lead into an avalanche. By halftime, Creighton was not only behind, they were visibly chasing air. So ask yourself this. What is more terrifying for the rest of the field? A team that wins because shots fall, or a team that wins because it can manufacture scoring, runs out of defense, pressure, and pace? Because tonight, Connecticut did not just score. They generated points by taking the ball, turning stops into layups, and making Creighton play from a place of discomfort for 3 straight quarters. 94 points will always get attention, but 44 points allowed is the real statement. Creighton shot 22.6% from the field. That is not a bad night. That is structural suffocation. Connecticut forced 20 turnovers and turned ball pressure into a constant tax on every Creighton possession. And the third quarter was the perfect snapshot of what championship defense looks like when it is locked in. Creighton went 1 for 16 from the field in that quarter. Connecticut held them to 7 points. That is the kind of stretch that ends a season in the tournament. Here's the part fans should appreciate. This was not gambling defense. This was not reckless pressure that works only when you feel good. This was organized disruption. Connecticut got 14 steals, 6 blocks, and they made Creighton take shots late in the clock from uncomfortable spots. So let me ask you the key question. If you're scouting Connecticut, what do you do when the defense becomes offense? When a steal becomes 2 points? When a block becomes a run out? When one bad decision turns into 4 straight empty possessions? Because that is the kill switch, not the shooting. The kill switch is the ability to break a game in the middle quarters by dictating pace and forcing mistakes. Now we have to talk about Azzi Fudd, because tonight was not only a good game, it was a career identity moment. Fudd reached 250 career three-pointers. She became the 10th player in Connecticut history to hit that mark. And that matters because this program has produced a museum of perimeter legends. When you enter that group, you are not only a shooter, you're a piece of program history. But the milestone is not the best part. The best part is how she played while reaching it. She scored 19 points on 8 of 13 shooting and 3 of 4 from three-point range. She also had 4 assists and 0 turnovers in 28 minutes. That is the definition of pressure proof. Not only because she made shots, but because she did not hijack the offense to chase a number. She stayed inside the system and still bent the game. In the first quarter, she contributed 5 points and an assist during a 12-2 stretch that gave Connecticut its first real separation. That is what star players do. They do not wait for the perfect moment. They create it. And here's the tactical problem she creates for opponents. If you sell out to take away her 3, she punishes you with mid-range pull-ups, straight-line drives, and transition finishes. If you play her straight, she has the green light from deep with elite efficiency. That is not a streak shooter. That is an identity shooter. So I want you to consider what this means for March. Her career three-point percentage is above 40%. She's healthy, she's efficient, and she's making decisions. That combination changes ceilings. Here's the secret angle that makes this game bigger than a box score. Connecticut proved it can win in multiple styles. Some elite teams need transition to feel alive. Some need a three-point heater. Some need one player to create everything. Connecticut did not need any one thing. It had all of them. Look at the balance. Connecticut made 36 field goals and hit 14 three-pointers. They shot 53.8% from deep. They also turned defense into transition. They outscored Creighton in the paint and on the fast break. They had 20 assists on 36 made field goals. That tells you the offense was not random. It was connected. And then the bench happened. Ali Zubel scored 20 points and looked like a microwave scorer with real gravity. Kaylee Heckel scored 13 points, added 4 assists, and ripped 4 steals. The bench scored 39 points, which is almost the entire Creighton output. When your second unit can maintain the same pace, the same spacing, and the same defensive pressure, that is how you win in different fonts without losing your identity. So if you are a coach trying to build a plan, what is the plan? Zone. They have shooters, man-to-man. They have the interior size and quick guards, slow pace. They will still generate points with steals, fast pace. They will still punish mistakes with structure. This is what a message game looks like. There's no single schematic solution. This is the part that should worry everyone who is not wearing Connecticut jerseys. The floor is elite. Great teams do not only have a high ceiling, they have a baseline of winning habits that travels. Tonight, even when the offense briefly slowed, the defense stayed locked, the rebounding stayed solid, and the decision-making stayed clean. Connecticut finished with only 10 turnovers while playing at blowout speed. That matters because careless teams get sloppy when they are up big. Connecticut stayed disciplined. They also won the possession battle with pressure and won and done defense. During their most dominant stretches, Creighton got no second-chance rhythm and no easy runouts. And if you zoom out to the season-level indicators, the math is ridiculous. Connecticut is undefeated at 26-0. They have won 42 straight games. Their average scoring margin is nearly 40 points. That is not a heater. That is a standard. So let me put it this way. For someone to beat Connecticut, they would need to play almost perfectly, while Connecticut simultaneously plays its worst. And tonight was the opposite of that. Connecticut was talented and structurally flawless. Now let us talk about something coaches and die-hard fans always track after a game like this. Minutes, roles, trust. This did not look like a random regular season rotation. This looked like a rehearsal. Ali Zubel played 25 minutes and gave you 20 points with elite spacing. Kaylee Heckel played 26 minutes and gave you points, playmaking, and disruption. Ashlyn Shade played 30 minutes and filled the box with scoring, rebounds, and steals. Azzi Fudd played 28 minutes and gave you 19 points with 4 assists and 0 turnovers. And notice what else happened. Sarah Strong and Sarah Williams played around 19 to 20 minutes each. That could be load management. That could be matchup choices. That could also be a sign that the staff is shaping the front court workload to keep legs fresh for March. The most important clue is how Connecticut handled the ends of quarters. In the second and third quarters, they did not coast. They ran sets. They trapped. They executed like the score was tight. That is culture. And culture is what wins when the tournament turns into possession-by-possession warfare. Every time a team wins like this in February, the debate starts immediately. Are they peaking at the perfect time, or are they overheating? Tonight looked like sustainable peaking, because the dominance came from repeatable processes. The offense came from passing and shot quality. The defense came from communication, pressure, and connected rotations. When your points come from 20 assists and 14 steals, that travels. And when your best shooter is also making playmaking decisions with 0 turnovers, that travels. So yes, the shooting was hot. Connecticut shot 57.1% for the game. But the bigger reason this performance is believable is that the structure created the heat. Creighton is a style test that exposes sloppy teams. They run clean offense. They take a lot of threes. They force you to defend actions without losing focus. Creighton took 38 three-point shots and made 10. That is 26.3%, and it happened because Connecticut refused to allow clean rhythm looks after the first quarter. Connecticut forced 20 turnovers against a team that values ball security. Connecticut held them to 14 total field goals for the game. That is not just winning the matchup. That is owning the style. If Connecticut can pass this test with a 50-point win, what does that say about their readiness for the chess matches that define the final weekend of the season? So here's the biggest takeaway. Connecticut just put the country on notice that their ceiling is terrifying, but their floor might be even scarier. They can win in multiple styles, they can break games in the middle quarters, and Azzi Fudd looks like the kind of pressure-proof star who turns great teams into champions. Now I want to hear from you. What was the biggest message from this game? Was it the defense holding Creighton to 44? Was it Azzi Fudd hitting 250 career three-pointers while also running the offense clean? Or was it the bench scoring 39 and making this rotation look 9 deep and March ready? Drop your answer in the comments and tell me the one team you think can actually survive a Connecticut third quarter.
Prime Field.